Hi and hello, it's your old pal Woody Cincy, and welcome once again to the Cover 2 podcast. I'm so happy that you guys could join me. So today we've got a really special show as we're going to be joined by the Super Bowl runner-up, Jim Dog, who's going to talk about the Super Bowl run with the Ravens, and then he's going to talk about his Denver Broncos season, and then we're going to finish off with Dan the Man, our picks for Week 2, and talk about the team selection process. So let's get it started right now. Here he is, Jim Dog. All right, welcome. I'm joined with my guest at this time, the Super Bowl runner-up, also the owner of the Denver Broncos, Jim Dog. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How about yourself?
I'm doing awesome. So, first of all, just congratulations on getting to the Super Bowl. You started off with the Broncos. When we booted the Ravens owner, you were awesome enough to take over the team. Tell us about that playoff experience. How'd that go?
I didn't really have expectations, to be quite honest with you. I really didn't expect to play very long. I had not played with the Ravens in this game at all, Madden 16. I really play with my teams that I play with in my different leagues. So Denver, Buffalo, a couple of different teams. And, I just took them over, and I looked at it from the standpoint of they had a pretty good defense, and I looked at the defensive deficiencies. That's a tough one. And tried to mask them as much as I could. And on offense, big arm quarterback, I like that. And, a couple of running backs, veterans who hold on to the football, which is good. And that was what I really liked about it. And the first game, I kind of shocked Jim. Rashad Perriman is an animal. And, he had like 4 catches for 177 yards or something like that and 2 touchdowns. So Perriman really, is a game changer. He's a deep threat. And used him and used Steve Smith Sr. and Crockett Gilmore, my backs. And that was the big thing. And then moving on, and we got to the AFC Championship game because the Ravens had a first-round bye. And I played in the AFC Championship game, and it was a really good game. And my defense was really the key there. I'm going to say Perriman had a huge part offensively as well in that game, but 4 takeaways against Buffalo to retire Buffalo and send them to Cleveland was big for the Ravens defense. So,
and it's also spoken to say, I have to say this, is that Andrew's one of our best players. So that game, I think it shocked a lot of people when that was pretty much an upset. I think most people thought it was going to be Andrew in the Super Bowl.
That's very fair. Look, like I said, I had no expectations going in. Even after winning the first game, I was like, okay, it was nice. I want to call it the Tim Tebow story. Like, he makes the playoffs, he wins the one game, and then it's time to go home. You know what I mean? Well, yeah. And I managed to win that game too. And like I said, I had no expectations playing in the Super Bowl against you either. And we didn't end up winning that game. I felt like we put up a tough fight. The injuries had
not having your quarterback
down. Yeah, and the thing people don't even realize was I also didn't have my nose tackle, who was the best defensive lineman on that line, in my 3-man line. So that really hurt as well, because you ran right up the gut on Jesse Williams, who started on your team at the beginning of the year. He was a late season signee.
Oh, well, how about that? All right, well, so let's talk about your Denver Broncos now. You just defeated the Carolina Panthers, who are one of the top teams. Talk about your quarterback, Lynch. Is this guy going to get you to the Super Bowl? What's your prediction for this year?
I think the recipe is very much like the real-life Broncos right now. I actually like our offensive line and our running back depth better, and even our receiver depth better. Paxton Lynch, I think he threw 1 interception in this game. It was a tough ball. It was a tough play. Good play by the corner. It was a jump ball to Demaryius Thomas. But other than that, he was very efficient, 11 for 17. And the thing that I liked about the play today of Paxton Lynch was 7 different receivers.
Oh, wow.
11 completions, 7 different receivers. So we're playing different formations and running different routes and on different levels in order to get different guys, touches, which is huge in the passing game because, it lets us push it down the field a little bit more when they're afraid that I might throw the ball quick, so help the offensive line. And running the ball, too.
Okay, and so let's talk about some of the defensive players. So Shane Ray comes away with 2 sacks in this game. What are you looking at for this season? What are we finishing with your defense?
I think my defense has the potential to be the best defense in the league. I think personnel-wise, if you look at it from top to bottom, we have some sneaky good players that I was able to get in free agency that I think, may be underrated. I'll give you an example. My starting linebacker next to Brandon Marshall is a guy by the name of Will Compton, who is a very speedy, smart linebacker. Intangibly, he could do some stuff a little bit better, but he's smart and speedy. Like I was saying, Will Compton's a very fast, heady player, could do some things better intangibly, but he's a gritty player. And I like him next to Brandon Marshall. He's got a decent ability to cover in zone coverage and decent tackling ability. The rest, like I said, the rest of the defense, Shane Ray, I'm expecting a lot from him as an edge rusher. I think Von Miller, and Derek Wolfe are going to get the protection slid to their side, so it's going to be up to Poe to take up multiple defenders, and Starks and Shane Ray are really going to have opportunities to get in there and make some plays. And the safeties are still the same. We've got Darian Stewart and TJ Ward, who's one of the hardest hitting safeties in the game. We had traded Aqib Talib in the offseason, but we picked up Captain Munnerlyn to move him into the slot, and Bradley Roby has gotten a promotion. Still go with Chris Harris, the all-pro corner.
All right, so let's talk for a minute about this season. Obviously, definitely a playoff contender. You play the Panthers. Next week, you've got the Jacksonville Jaguars. You think you got their number? You think you can beat Nick?
I think I can beat anybody with this team at this point. That's not, like I'm coming out challenging everybody, but, that's the way you got to think. If you think you're going to get to the Super Bowl and try and win it, you got to think you can beat everybody. And I think right now this team, with the running game, the offensive line, if it plays well, and defensively, getting takeaways, sacks, turnovers, and 3 and outs, not allowing the other guys to score, and even scoring. We scored a safety against Carolina on defense. And that's the type of stuff we're going to have to do to win.
All right, and so the last question, you don't have to give too much into this, but everybody's getting excited. This is the last show before we have our team reveal. Are the Broncos in your top 5 picks? Obviously, you don't have to tell us who your number 1 pick would be, but are these Broncos in there for you for Madden 17?
I think they'll probably get a better shake than they did in this roster in Madden 17, so they'll probably be in the top 5. I don't think they'll be my top selection. I've played with the Broncos throughout, the last couple of years, so I'm familiar with a lot of the players on the teams, that type of thing. So they're in my top 5, but I would definitely say they're not my first choice.
Oh, that's going to keep things interesting. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Jim. For everybody else, anytime you guys want to do an interview, you want to get on this, make sure you join us. Thank you so much, Jim. Any final words?
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos. Definitely beat those Chargers. All right. Thank you. And the man and Woody Cincy, welcome. I think most people thought that we would never do this podcast again. How are you doing, Daniel?
Doing good. Just been busy. I'm glad to be back.
All right, so people are excited. We got our game picks. The first one's coming up is going to be the Bears and the Texans. Who do you think has that one?
I'd say Texans got that.
CPU Bears not able to compete. All right, and the next one, the Broncos versus Jags. Nick, who do you think takes that one?
Jags by 3.
Jags by 3. All right, moving on. We got the Buccaneers versus the Atlanta Falcons. Who do you got that one?
Bucks by 7.
All right, Indianapolis Colts led by Sean versus the Chargers CPU with no Boone. Who do you think takes that?
Colts by 3.
By 3, all right. And then we got the Dallas Cowboy Jason versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Poseidon Chaos. Jason upset about not making the playoffs. Who do you think takes this game?
Cowboys by 14.
I think that might be a good pick right there. All right, and we're going to be moving on right now to the Dolphins versus Bills. Who do you think has that?
Ooh, 2 new guys. Let's see. Bills team. Let's say Bills by 7 just because I think they got the better team.
All right. Now we're going to go to the Oakland Raiders at the Kansas City Chiefs led by Brian. Who do you think takes this one?
Chiefs by 10.
All right. Next up, the new owner of the Ravens versus the Cleveland Browns and Andrew, one of our admins. Who do you think takes that?
Browns by 7.
Wow, look at that. All right. The should have been NFC champions going Washington Redskins versus the New York Giants, both great owners. Who do you think takes this one?
Redskins by 10.
Redskins are my pick for the Super Bowl. I know they were my pick last year, but I mean, geez, the luckiest play in the world saved the Seahawks from going to a loss. All right, let's go on to the Saints versus the Cardinals. Who do you think takes that?
Saints by 3. I think it's going to be a good one.
Benny the Great versus Dub. I look forward to watching that one. All right, so another game I just think is going to be a blowout, even though I like Boone. The Seahawks versus Coach Boone 49ers.
Seahawks by 21.
I picked the Seahawks by infinity, but I don't know how realistic that is. Steelers versus the Bengals. Who do you think takes this one? Jim, the commissioner, versus the new Bengals owner, Brent.
Steelers by 7. Big good one.
All right, then we've got you taking on the CPU Lions. What do you think the score of that will be?
I hope my CPU wins. I think I'm going to have to let it sim, so...
Oh, it's going to be a sim, CPU versus CPU. That might become interesting. All right, and our last one up is going to be Chinese versus Kratos, the Vikings versus the Packers. Who do you think takes that one?
Packers by 7.
Okay, so our theme all this week has been team selections. It's what I think everybody's waiting for. I think people are listening to this probably hoping to get some information on team selection. So obviously you're a staff member. You have one of the highest picks. Do you want to go down some of the teams that you're thinking about being? You don't have to tell us who you're picking, but what are some of those top teams that you think are for Madden 17?
Top 5, Titans, Seahawks, Rams, thought about being the Vikings at some point. I don't know.
What makes you interested in the Rams?
They got a good young core. Got Todd Gurley. Got a nice little D-line. Got some stuff to work around.
All right, so prediction here. Obviously, the Madden ratings are just coming out. We don't know the official ones. We're just getting the top 5s. What team do you think for a CFM, like our franchise, who do you think is going to have the best, youngest, high-quality players? What do you think the best team would be to start with? Not based off of liking the team, just the best overall team.
Best overall team will probably be, I'm going to say the Panthers, probably.
You can't go wrong starting with Cam Newton, the best quarterback in online games, and the best middle linebacker, Luke Kuechly, or Coog, I don't know how to say his name. But you start off with those two guys. Well, Dan, this has been very enjoyable. Do you have any other thoughts before we leave?
Nope. Hope everybody has a good rest of Madden 16, and hope we keep everybody for 17 and stay active.
And that's a good reminder. Make sure you guys go over the rules. Make sure you guys are following the rules. It's not a good excuse to say that you didn't read them as we head into 17. So thank you so much, Dan, for joining me. Thank you guys so much. We look forward to the next episode. Awesome to have Dan the Man back. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching the Cover 2 podcast. Make sure to tune in for the Mike and Ike Show. And Friday's special edition talking about team selections and talking about the season. So anyways, thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day.